Hi dear fans, friends and subscribers. Welcome to the show, the late night cricket show with your host Ram, Cricket Happening Show. Well dear fans and subscribers, yes, definitely in this part of the cricket show, yes, I'm going to talk about how South Africa were the winners of the tri-series in Zimbabwe when they beat Australia in the final, and I would say South Africa definitely dominated in all departments of the game, and South Africa won this match in a very comfortable fashion. In fact, they made it look very one-sided after bowling Australia out for 270, restricting Australia to 217 for 9, and then South Africa winning this match by 6 wickets with almost probably 9 overs to spare. And once again, Faf du Plessis, who already has reeled off 3 centuries, was on the verge of a big record which has never been done in the annals of one-day international history. And unfortunately for him, well, that couldn't happen, as du Plessis, who had already had 3 centuries, had to be content being, in fact he was out for 96 unfortunately, and South Africa actually, but the good thing was that South Africa won the match, so that was the very good thing about it. So South Africa won the match, and South Africa were the champions of this tri-series here in Zimbabwe, and this will do them a lot of good considering that the World Cup 2015 in Australia and New Zealand is just probably 5 or 6 months away, 6 months away precisely. Okay, so that is something that I'm going to look at. I will definitely have a look at it. But as you know, on Saturday on this late night cricket happening show, since a lot of time has gone by, I come back from my office duty and then I do my cricket happenings. So I don't want to really go into any nitty-gritties. I would just cover the match, just speak about the match, look at the salient features of the match, as you all know. That is one thing. And then we will go to the West Indies, where today, well, the first session was washed out in the second day's play against Bangladesh in the first Test match. But West Indies batsman Kate Brathwaite, who became the third youngest centurion in the West Indies as far as Test matches are concerned, as he scored a double century against Bangladesh, and it was a real toil for the Bangladeshi bowlers, as they had to be content bowling 2 sessions and not getting a single wicket. They had to really be, in a sense, they had to really not suffer, I would say, because there was not urgency of scoring, but West Indies did not lose a single wicket, and they finished at 407 for 3 at close of play on the second day of the first Test match here against Bangladesh. Well, Srinath Chandrapal was not out on 51, so I will have a brief look at that. And tomorrow India would be actually completing their tour of England with a T20 match which is going to be taking place, which is going to be played at Birmingham. So we'll have a brief look at it. And as you know, England are having one real prospect out there by Jason Roy, who has scored tons of runs this time in English domestic cricket, and he has also got a very good strike rate. So we'll have a look at that. So first, let us start off with the finals. As the finals between Australia and South Africa, as I said, it was a real battle between the pace bowlers, because yesterday I had said in my preview that the groundsman, from what we gathered, was that the groundsman said that this is going to be a pitch with a lot of pace and bounce, and one thought it was precisely the case, because definitely if you look at it, with the finals, probably we thought that it could be a high scoring affair, but unfortunately it was not to be, and South Africans were the ones who really dominated each and every portion of the game, whether it be batting, bowling or fielding. In fact, South Africans were the ones who actually won the toss, and they decided to insert Australia in on a pacey and bouncy pitch. For South Africa, after inserting them, they had to wait when the score till the score reached 25. In fact, there was definitely Dale Steyn was looking pretty menacing at that particular moment, where he was moving the ball pretty well and giving a tough time to the batsman. And then finally, Phil Hughes was the first victim, as Dale Steyn got him caught by De Villiers for 15 of 16 balls with 2 fours. Aaron Finch was there at the crease, and he was slowly getting into his groove at that particular time when Steven Smith, they continued with the absence of Michael Clarke, they continued the experimentation of having Steven Smith at the top of the order. So he came in as one drop, but in fact Dale Steyn, and the other good thing for South Africa was that today they were at full strength. As I said, Morkel and Duminy were doubtful, but today they passed the fitness test, and it was very, very good to see. Well, Steven Smith came in and joined Aaron Finch, well, Steven Smith couldn't do much. He contributed only 10 runs before Parnell nipped up his wicket. He was gone for 10 or 15 balls with 2 fours, which made the score 49 for 2. And then it was only Aaron Finch who was really sticking it out there and was really staying at the crease. And suddenly this Australian innings really went into a real tailspin as wickets started falling at regular intervals. They lost the wicket of Bailey when he was clean bowled by Imran Tahir. Imran Tahir was using his googly to good effect today. It was pretty good to see. In fact, South Africa decided to go with both the spinners, Arun Fangiso and Imran Tahir, and both of them bowled pretty well. And Imran Tahir actually, with a googly, in fact he bowled a lot of googlies today, and he picked up the wicket of George Bailey for 12 of 28 balls. So that was 82 for 3 in the 19th over. After that, Aaron Finch was joined by Mitchell Marsh. Now Mitchell Marsh definitely showed some glimpses of his big hitting, but unfortunately it was Aaron Finch who was actually really trying to hold the innings together when the score had reached 115, and individually Aaron Finch had already reached his 50. And this was the time, as I said, once Dale Steyn first started off with the new ball, giving the wicket, and after that it was Dale Steyn just ripping through the middle order, because what he did is first he picked up the wicket of Aaron Finch, who was well settled, when he actually clean bowled him with some very good reverse swing bowling. He was gone for 54 of 87 balls with 5 fours, and he was also the highest scorer in this Australian innings. And after that, there was the turn of Wayne Parnell to rattle the stumps of Mitchell Marsh for 27 of 46 balls with 1 4 and 1 6. And Steyn, as I said, his reverse swing was something that the South Africans had to contend with. And he was also, when Dale Steyn gets the ball to reverse swing, you can understand at what pace the ball would be reverse swinging. And it was very difficult for the batsman to pick him up, and that's what precisely Dale Steyn did. First he went on to trap Glenn Maxwell LBW on the pads as soon as he came in, and he was out without troubling the scorers for naught. And Brad Haddin was also sent back to the pavilion. LBW bowled Steyn for 6 of 19 deliveries, and suddenly this Australian innings was looking a bit ragged at 137 for 7 in the 37th over. And when Mitchell Johnson fell to the bowling of Morkel, the score read 8 for 144 in the 38th over, and it was a matter of Australia actually playing out the full 50 overs, and that onus was going to be falling on James Faulkner and Mitchell Starc. But James Faulkner and Mitchell Starc, well, they dug it out. They realized that playing the 50 overs is something that is pretty important for Australia. So keeping that in mind, they definitely put their head down, and they were not taking any unnecessary risks, and they really, for the first 5 overs, they really started to settle down. But once they played out those 5 overs, and the overs went past the 45 over mark, that was the time Faulkner and Mitchell Starc decided that this is the time to wield the long handle, and they wielded it to good effect, with Mitchell Starc sending 2 sixes soaring into the stands, and also Faulkner. And thanks to those 2 players, James Faulkner and Mitchell Starc, the Australian total went on to 217 for 9, with the partnership that happened between Faulkner and Starc adding 71 valuable runs, and at the last 5 overs they raked up 55 runs. So that was some very good batting, I thought, by James Faulkner and Mitchell Starc, with James Faulkner finally being dismissed. Caught Miller bowled Morkel for 39 of 37 deliveries with 4 fours. Mitchell Starc finished unbeaten on 29 of 46 balls with 2 sixes. Nathan Lyon was not out on naught, and South Africa had restricted Australia in the finals for 217 for 9. Now the bowling, let's look at the bowling. Now Dale Steyn was the man of the match, and as I said, Initially it was good pace, good bounce, good movement by Steyn, and then he came back in the middle order and came back in the middle and with his reverse swing bowling had a lot to say there, with figures of 10 overs unmade and 34 runs and 4 wickets. Moni Morkel bowled 10 overs. He was costly, but he picked up 2 wickets for 58. Every bowler I thought did the job for South Africa there in the finals. Wayne Parnell 10 overs unmade and 2 for 40 for him. Aaron Fungiso, his left arm spin. As I said, Aaron Fungiso in this tri-series, that what one has seen is that he has become a much improved bowler now, and that is pretty good news for South Africa, with a lot of variety injected into this particular South African lineup. Aaron Fungiso, 10 overs no made and none for 36. He was absolutely economical. Imran Tahir, 10 overs no made and 1 for 40. He used his googlies pretty well. And for South Africa, even though Australia put on Australia 217, the 217 was still looking a good total, and it had to really take some real doing from South Africa, especially considering the pitch, which was really aiding the pace bowlers. But when South Africa started to bat, chasing 217, they definitely lost an early wicket when Glenn Maxwell, the run-off spinner, was given the ball right away by George Bailey, and he actually picked up the wicket of Quinton de Kock. He was caught by the captain Bailey of Maxwell for 7 balls with 1-4, which made the score 14 for 1. And then there was a very good partnership between Hashim Amla, who was really trying to stay at the crease and started giving support to du Plessis. He was playing with supreme confidence after those 3 centuries that he had reeled, and once again du Plessis was the difference between both the teams, as he started nurdling his way, and he has, and what one has seen in this tri-series is that du Plessis has that ability to manufacture strokes out of nowhere. He was using his feet well to the spinners, he was sweeping well, he was driving well, everything was coming beautifully, his cutting was good, and that is the mark of confidence that du Plessis had while playing his strokes. And I mean, it's no wonder when someone reels off 3 centuries, and why not, I'm sure that particular batsman should be looking at a cricket ball like a football. That's how good his eyesight can be, because of his supreme form that he was in. Hashim Amla was giving him good company. Hashim Amla, well, he was pretty sedate in that partnership. It was a 98-run partnership, and this 98-run partnership definitely stitched things together for South Africa. And finally, when things were going pretty good, and probably one thought that it's going to have a century partnership, that was the time Smith struck. Now that was a very bad start from Hashim Amla, because he had actually left his crease, and he played a very airy-fairy shot, and it ended up in the hands of Bailey. But Hashim Amla has definitely done a good job there by contributing 51 of 75 deliveries with 2 fours. But it was du Plessis who was the man who was the more of an aggressor and was keeping the scoreboard ticking pretty quickly. Well, South Africa, that was a bit of a surprise when one saw that when Hashim Amla departed, it was surprise of surprises, as Wayne Parnell was promoted in the batting order as a pinch hitter, and it really surprised everybody, because thing is that the run rate was not pretty big, but probably South Africa reckoned that if at all Wayne Parnell could deal some huge blows, they could actually, the other batsmen who are coming down the order could find life easy. But well, unfortunately that experiment really didn't materialize, as Faulkner rattled the stumps of Wayne Parnell for 6 of 24 balls with 1-4, as Wayne Parnell really struggled to time the ball, and the score read 126 for 3. But after that, du Plessis was left with A.B. de Villiers. Now, as you know, du Plessis and A.B. de Villiers are a pair which Australia always dread, because they have been very successful against Australia, and once again we had another successful partnership ensuing between du Plessis and A.B. de Villiers. A.B. de Villiers, as is his wont, played some very good strokes. In fact, once de Villiers came, there was a the scoring pattern suddenly changed, with du Plessis also joining in the fun, and both of them getting runs pretty quickly at a very quick clip, and ensuring that South Africa are going to do it in style, and also very comfortable at that. And that's precisely what happened with a partnership of 91 runs. And that was the time when A.B. de Villiers was there at the crease. There was, I mean, they had done all the hard work and everything was going well. As I said, A.B. de Villiers had really was stroking the ball pretty well and was making it very difficult for the Australian bowlers. Now, as far as du Plessis was concerned, well, du Plessis probably was concentrating, trying to get to his fourth one-day international century on the trot, and that would have been a tremendous record and would have been a world record as far as one-day internationals are concerned. But unfortunately, what happened, which was a bit surprising, because with lots of overs to spare, in a particular over, A.B. de Villiers went on to slam Mitchell Johnson for 16 runs in a single over, and that is the one which left du Plessis to really he had nothing, because in the sense what happened was he was on 92 at that stage. One would have reckoned that probably A.B. de Villiers could have probably resisted the temptation to play some big hits of the bowling of Johnson and probably block the ball, because they had nothing to worry. They were almost on the winning track. So I was a bit grieved to see that du Plessis had to be content. It was something that well, I wouldn't say that, but what I was trying to come to is that de Villiers actually made 16 runs, and that left only probably a few runs for du Plessis to go to a century. But well, so du Plessis had probably in the quest to get to his fourth one-day international century on the trot, he had to succumb to Mitchell Johnson, but not before making 96 runs of 99 balls with 8 fours and 1 6, because du Plessis was left with only probably, I think it was when du Plessis departed was 217, so probably there was only it was a matter of 8 runs for du Plessis to go to the record. Yes, he definitely slammed Johnson for a boundary, but in the very next delivery he was a goner for 96, because he had no other choice but to really slam the ball, because as you know, they were just 4 runs away, and all that. And that was the time when probably du Plessis wanted to get the winning hit by hitting a boundary so that he could reach a century. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and du Plessis had to walk off. Scott Faulkner bowled Johnson for 96 of 99 balls with 8 fours and 1 6, and du Plessis, without a shadow of doubt, picked up the Player of the Series award. Duminy came in not out on not. De Villiers finished not out on 57 of 41 balls with 6 fours and 2 6s, and Australia losing the match, and South Africa winning the finals of the Tri-Series here in Zimbabwe by 6 wickets. Looking at the bowling figures as far as the Australians go, Mitchell Johnson was not really looking into his element today. He got carved by all the batsmen. 9.5 overs, no maiden, 52 runs and 1 wicket. Glenn Maxwell got the breakthrough, 2 overs, no maiden, 1 for 12 for him. Mitchell Marsh, 5 overs for 25. Mitchell Starc bowled 4 overs for 27, was costly. 8 overs, none for 50, 1 for 54 for Faulkner. Nathan Lyon, 10 overs, 1 maiden, none for 41, did his job well. 2 overs, no maiden, 1 for 9, and that was it. Dale Steyn, for his superb spell of bowling, took away the Man of the Match award. So that is done and dusted as far as the Tri-Series in Zimbabwe is concerned. Now, I don't have much time on this YouTube broadcast, so I had to really run through it. So I'm taking you down to the West Indies. We are talking about I'm just going to give you a very sneak peek at it right now. West Indies finishing the second day of the first Test match here against Bangladesh at Arna's Vale Ground, Kingstown in St. Vincent, at 407 for 3. The first session was washed out, as I said, and yesterday, as you know, Gale made 64. Brathwaite, as I said, became the youngest in fact, is the third youngest centurion for West Indies to make a double century. He was still unconquered on 205 runs. It was a painstaking effort, but he really put his head down. And look at the other end. Who was the player along with him? It was Shivnarayan Chandrapal, who was not out on 51. We all know he's a stonewaller. He's known as the Great Wall of China. Not out on 51 of 177 balls with only 3 fours. Brathwaite finishing on an unbeaten 205 of 437 deliveries. He really manfully played there. 14 fours only, not a single 6. Dan Bravo was out yesterday, as you know, for 62. And Bangladesh bowlers bowling those 2 sessions at lunch and tea, had to finish off with not a single wicket. As I told you in my cricket preview, as you would remember, for me this tour where Bangladesh are facing West Indies is that whether Bangladesh have the wherewithal, do they have the pace combination that could bowl out the West Indies, or the bowling combination to bowl out the West Indies twice in a single test match. And right now I have been really been proved true, because West Indies are absolutely coasting at 407 for 3. The bowling, Al-Amin Hussain has looked very impressive with his bowling, no doubt about that. 22 overs, 12 maidens, none for 43 for him. Rubel Hussain has, I would have to say that Rubel Hussain has been fraying the ball in all directions. 23 overs, 1 maiden, none for 82. Mahmooda, 19 overs, went for 64. Shawkat Ahum, 35 overs, 6 maidens, 93 runs and 1 wicket. As you know, the test debutants they are, and he took the wicket. Tajul Islam has been the pick of the bowlers. 39 overs, 8 maidens, 106 runs and 2 wickets. And 4 overs, 1 maiden, none for 4 for Nasir Hussain. Momin Uluk bowled 1 over for 1 run. Now, this is as far as, so West Indies are really coasting, but I would only be seeing whether West Indies would be prompted to declare on the 3rd day, because there's no use in just a match going on meandering. Probably their goal should be probably make another 500 runs, probably 93 runs pretty quickly on the morrow, and pile on the pressure on the Bangladeshis. That is for the West Indies captain to think about it. It's just I'm just giving you. I'm just talking about what I feel about this. Well, from here, let's look at the preview which is coming up. I mean, I'm just going to do a very sneak peek here. As you know, England are taking on India, and this is the last match of the Indian tour of England, and it finishes off with this T20 match against England at Birmingham. And for England, as I said, the man to watch is Jason Roy at the top of the order. Jason Roy would be, the reason that I'm talking about Jason Roy is, he's the new cap in this England cricket team, and there's a lot of things which has been said about him. He's a pretty talented player. He has done very well for Surrey this season. He has scored tons of runs. He has a good strike rate. He's a man who is not afraid to really go and hit the ball high and hard. And it will be pretty interesting to see how Jason Roy shapes up against the Indian bowlers. Indians definitely on a high, because after winning the one-day series, they are absolutely on a high, no doubt about it. But I think this will be a different ball game altogether, and we all look forward to a very good T20, and we also look out for a very good finish to the Indian Tour of England tomorrow, when India play England in the solitary T20 here at Birmingham. Well, that doesn't give me much time to really dwell on this particular match, and that would be bringing the curtain. That will be bringing down the curtain on this Indian tour of England tomorrow. Well, I'll be there to definitely talk about both these matches between West Indies, Bangladesh, the 3rd day's play, and also I'll be giving you a match report on this T20 match which is going to take place tomorrow. As I said, this is the last match of the Indian tour of England. Well, with that, I'm ending up my Cricket Happening show for today by saying to you, dear friends and subscribers, good night.